Good afternoon and happy birthday to you, even if it's not your real birthday, because every day is the first day of the rest of your life. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Today is the first day of the rest of my life as well. Today we're talking about gratitude. I suspect this will be a little bit of a shorter one. I'm actually supposed to be at a funeral today, so there's your first bit of gratitude. I'm still alive, and you're watching this, so you are still alive. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. You woke up this morning. As somebody once said, which I've always kind of liked, even though it's a little bit morbid, every day you wake up with your feet on the right side of the grass, it's a good day. I guess that doesn't apply if you're like a caver or something, but you understand the concept at the very least. So anyway, I hope you're well. I hope you are feeling good, and I hope life is treating you okay at the moment. But even if it's not, today we're going to talk about how to be grateful for the little things in your life, even if the big things in your life are not particularly great at the moment. So there's the first thing. You're alive. You can be grateful for that. You have successfully got through to another day. You have a device in your hand of some description which you are watching me through. Therefore, you presumably have access to electricity, and you have access to the internet. You have, I'm guessing you have warm clothes on, because it's quite cold here in the UK. Clothes of some kind on, at least anyway. You have eyes, because you're watching this, or ears that you're listening to this with. Even if you're blind, you've still got ears, you're listening to me. And if you're blind and you're not listening to me, how are you even listening? How are you interacting with this? So this kind of thing. So again, you can always find something to be grateful for, and everything that's going on in your life, no matter what. And it's just a matter of whether or not you actually focus on those things, or if you're going to focus on all the negative stuff. So one of the reasons I'm a little bit late today, it's 20 past 12 today, is I've been trying to help a friend of mine who is really struggling right now. And every time I say to her, let's look at some good stuff in your life, it's like, nope, there's nothing good in my life. There's nothing going on. Everything's terrible. You can't help me. There's nothing you can do about it. Blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, oh gosh, this is ridiculous. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to help. Because if you're not willing to do anything to change your circumstances, then nothing's going to change. I was talking earlier about how it's like you've got a cut on your finger, and you know that that's painful. And every time you try and do something with that finger, you keep catching it, and it's like painful. You're like, ah, God, that's really annoying. But you keep focusing on it, but rather than allowing it to repair itself and just not using it, or putting a dressing around the outside of it. I was just looking for a piece of, there's a little bit of tissue paper I can put around the outside of my finger. So there you go, and put some tape around that as well to make it possible that you stop catching it on things and allow it to fix itself. You can put some gel on there to help it heal, that kind of stuff. You'll keep it going. And if you're constantly picking at it and keeping it open, it's going to take longer to heal. It's going to hurt you for longer, because you keep on focusing on the negative. You keep on focusing on the bad stuff, the thing that's hurting. You keep focusing on it. You're going to keep paying attention to it. You're going to keep noticing it. Put the plaster on your finger, the dressing on your finger. You won't catch it quite as often. You'll kind of tend to forget about it, and your brain will start to forget about the pain that's in your finger, and eventually it'll heal, and it'll heal faster because you stop catching it and you stop picking at it, and eventually you'll move on to a better future, because you're focusing on the good things rather than the bad things. You're focusing on healing and getting better rather than focusing on the thing that's holding you back in the past. There's something in your past that's painful and that's hurting you, and that's what you're holding on to. There's no point, because it's in the past. It's gone. You can't do anything about it. All you can do is take more control over the stuff that's in your future. You can take control of your future and what you're going to do in the future, and how your life is going to be better in the future compared to this negative thing that happened in the past. Even if that thing that happened in the past was fantastic and amazing, it made you feel brilliant, but it's now gone, and doesn't exist anymore. It's not part of your life anymore, and that's the pain you're carrying. Your pain is that you don't no longer have this really good thing that you had before. It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. And now you need to move on, and you don't want to let go of this really good thing in the past. There's nothing you can do about it. That thing in the past is gone. You can't get it back. It's vanished. It's gone. This would be a classic sort of situation of grief, for example, when you've got somebody that you've been in love with, or you've had a partner, for example, and then that partner has died suddenly and unexpectedly, and suddenly you've lost that that part of yourself, in that partner that you loved so much. They've now gone, and you need to move on, but you want to keep holding on to that partner in the past, that negativity, not the negativity, the negativity of the loss. And that's the grief process. There is a grief process. I can't remember what the actual grief process is, but it's a grief process. We may as well talk about it now. And a lot of the reason why people don't want to move on is because of this grief process. And this again, 5 stages of grief. They go denial, denying that it's happened, and then getting angry about the situation. And then you go into depression. And that's when you're like, oh, well, I don't know what's the point of living and so forth. And then you get into bargaining. It's like, well, maybe if I did this, maybe if I changed this, maybe if I did that, maybe I can get it back, that kind of stuff. And then eventually you get into acceptance, where you start saying, I accept the fact that this situation has gone and this person has gone out of my life and I'm no longer with it. By the way, hello to the people who have joined me to view. I'm not even sure if I'm in the group. Am I in the group? Just suddenly realised. I think I'm in the Facebook group. I hope I am anyway. But if I'm not, if I'm on my personal page, then I'm on my personal page. No, I'm in the group. That's okay. Hello. How are you doing? So yeah. So you're holding on to this negative thing that's happened, and the negative thing is the death of the person you've lost. And then obviously there's good stuff before that, but the pain is the loss of the good stuff, and that's the pain that you're suffering. So that's the grief, that's the loss, that's the thing that's gone that is now causing the pain. Is the loss, is the thing that you're now grieving. Sorry, you're grieving the happiness before, but the thing that's caused you the loss of the happiness before is the sorry. Anyway, you know what I mean. Going around in circles a little bit on this, but yeah. So that pain, it causes grief, and that grief can even be, and it's actually worse if the person has left you, for example, and gone and joined somebody else. They've decided they preferred somebody else for some reason. That's even more when that sort of bargaining cycle becomes even more important, because you're like, well, maybe if I did this, I could get them back, and maybe if I did that, I could I could fix the situation. Maybe if I hadn't done all this other stuff, then maybe they wouldn't have left me, and that kind of stuff. And I went through a process of this myself when. It's a long story. I don't want to go into the details, but I was dating a girl and she had a child, and then we broke up. Again, a lot of story behind that. Don't worry about the detail behind it. But essentially, I lost that child out of my life. That's the easiest way of putting that. It wasn't my child, but I lost that child out of my life. Now, I didn't realise I was going through a grieving process. But when I went for some counselling and spoke to the psychologist at the work centre, she said, I believe you're going through a grief cycle at the moment. You are grieving the loss of that child, even though it wasn't your child. And even though that child is not gone, they still exist in the world. You're grieving the loss, and you need to go through that grieving process. You need to recognise, stop being depressed about it, stop trying to, I wasn't bargaining, didn't do the bargaining thing, but I had to accept the fact that that person's gone. And she said, that's exactly the same thing that happens as when a child is abducted, and the parents never get out of that grief cycle because they constantly keep thinking the child is coming back at some point in the future. And so they never get that sense of closure. That's why people talk about getting some closure on the thing that's in the past. You need that closure to be able to move on with your life in the future. Now, interestingly, I've just had a little bit of closure with this person I'm trying to help with. It's complicated, but it doesn't matter. But the point is that I can now feel like I can actually move on, which is kind of cool. I was going to say something else then. I completely forgot where I was with that. Hello again, by the way. Sarah was watching as well. That's kind of cool. Oh, I've just realised I can't see the chat, can I? I've just realised if anybody's chatting to me. That's always fun, isn't it? That's why I need to get it up on my PC. No, nobody's chatting to me. That's great. That's fine. So yeah, and when you've got that pain and that loss, and you want to move on, the only way you can really do that is to start looking for the good things that are in your life. So like I was saying at the beginning, you're recognizing the fact that you are alive. You have woken up and you're alive. You can recognize the fact that you've got eyes to be able to watch this with. You've got ears that you can hear this with. You've got a device in your hand that you're being able to watch this on. So you have this ability, you have access to the electricity. Presumably you're wearing clothes, or at least you have access to clothes, and you have presumably a warm house. You're not sitting in the freezing cold, sitting on the street, for example. I'm assuming that if you've got a phone and you're watching this and you're in my Facebook group, you're not sitting on the street, you're not homeless. If you are, by the way, send me a message, because not that I can help necessarily, but I can maybe support somehow. I'm sure there's something I can do. I'm sure there's nobody in this group who actually is homeless, but I was there briefly myself, not actually on the streets, but had no fixed abode for a little while. Didn't know what I was going to do with myself. So yeah, I've been there. And the friend who I was just helping her said, "Did you ever feel suicidal?" I was like, yeah, I really did. And in fact, I just then ended up finding this photograph from when I was on the Camino in 2016, when I was walking along this road, and it's in my book, it's in the Camino book. I will put the comment in the chat, in fact. I think I just actually got the link, haven't I? Just got the link. Oh no, it's not there. This one here. Oh god, it's going to... There we go. Copy that. Stick that in there. Boom. There you go. So there's a chance encounter story. You can read that if you want. So I was walking along this road, and I was really miserable. Again, background story is not important, but I was nearly at the point where I was thinking to myself, if I just stepped in front of one of these trucks that's coming along here, it would all end. All that pain would go away. And I thought, whoa, what are you doing, John? Don't think like that. That's ridiculous. And I chose not to. And then I walked up this mountain, and when I got to the top of the mountain, I met this amazing woman, Chance, and hence the title of the story, Chance Encounter. And 2 hours later, I was on top of the world. I was the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. And that change in 2 hours was amazing. It shocked me to my core that was even possible to happen. And I just, the only thing that was there was giving it the chance for this amazing thing to happen at some point in the future. So yeah, because if you did do anything drastic, then you never have that opportunity to find this amazing potential future that hasn't happened yet, that you've got no vision of at all, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. You have no idea who you might bump into, how your life might completely change in less than 12 months. And if you've ever had any situations in your life where your life has entirely changed massively over a period of a few months, and you thought, oh my God, I couldn't believe my life could ever be like this, just remember that. That's the gratitude thing. So you go back and you feel grateful for the fact that you had that opportunity to experience that thing, and now you can drag that positive experience into your future going forward. Rather than focusing on all that negative stuff from the past, you can start focusing on the good stuff in your present and in your future, and even the good memories from the past that you can bring forward into today to help you move forward as a positive thing in the future. So yes, so that's it. And you can always find good things and grateful things in your life as well. And of course, that's where the Create Happy Thoughts journal comes in useful, because on these pages here, there is a little column here that says, write down the thing that you're grateful for in your life. And also don't forget the thing that's made you smile today as well. So when you go to bed at night, you write down something that's made you smile, and something that you're grateful for, as well as something you've done today and something you're going to do tomorrow. So that's what's going on there. And obviously you can write 3 if you want, if you've got this book, and you can start doing that, and you can start creating happy thoughts in your life. So and explains it all at the beginning in the neuroscience behind all this. And I just saw a video this morning of somebody else explaining the same thing, the neuroscience bit that's in the beginning of that anyway. But she was talking about removing negative beliefs from your mindset, and stopping yourself from always doing the same thing. So it's an addiction kind of situation, where you keep on doing the same actions over and over again. You keep repeating the same stories to yourself over and over again. And she was saying, which is kind of cool, and it's slightly different to the way I would normally teach it. So this is a new thing that I just recently learned. She talked about having this door where the thing that you're currently talking about always takes you in that direction. But there's another door here that allow you to make a different decision with the same situation. And if you start making these choices and start thinking this way, then this door over here suddenly becomes less appealing, or becomes travelled through less often, and then eventually those neural pathways that you've got over here will start to fade away. It's called calcification, or actually decalcification in that particular case, because when you create new pathways in your brain, these ones over here, your calcification is what creates those new pathways and creates all those new thoughts and feelings and so forth over here. And if you start doing those more often, then these ones over here start to die away and start fading away, and those memories start to fade away. And I've talked about this before, because we all think that we can remember everything that's happened in our lives, but the problem is, of course, that we've forgotten We can't recall the things that we've already forgotten. So we don't know what we don't know. So if there's a memory, if there's something that happened in your life and you can't remember it happening, the fact that you can't remember it happening doesn't mean it didn't happen. And so we have this kind of weird bias ourselves in that we think we can remember everything in our lives, but we can't. There's lots of stuff that's happened in our lives that we've completely forgotten about. But because we've completely forgotten about it, we don't know that we've forgotten about it. So we can't say, yeah, I forgot about that because that happened. However, if you go and look at some old photographs of yourself and look at all the situations when those photographs happened, you will suddenly realize that there are things in your life that you can't remember because you look at those photos and you go, I don't remember what happened. I don't remember taking that photograph. I don't remember who those people are in that photograph. And you go, oh, well, I was clearly there at that photograph and I took that photograph. But who are those people at that party that I was at? I don't remember them at all. And that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about here. So those neural network things will fade away over time, and you will forget that negative stuff from the past, or at least it will fade and feel less painful. And once that starts to happen, once you focus on the good stuff in the future, all this good, positive, gratitude stuff, your happy thoughts rather than your negative thoughts going forward. And obviously to do that, you just need to start focusing on the things that are good in your life, which is why things like this book, this journal, is so powerful. Because when you start writing down every single day the things that you're grateful for in your life, the things that made you smile and the things you did, and you start looking at the list of things that you've done and the things that you're grateful for, especially if you can think of something different every day to be grateful for, that's going to reinforce and do that calcification job of reinforcing the good stuff in your life going forward, and allow your past to start fading away, and start the negative stuff in your past anyway to start fading away, because you stop focusing on it. You stop spending so much time telling the stories of this thing that's happened in the past, and you stop reinforcing this will never happen to me, this can't happen to me because this is la la la, etc. And you start creating these new pathways in the future. And that all comes from being grateful for the things that are in your life, the things that you do have in your life, the good things that are happening right now in your life, the fact that you're alive, the fact that you've got this phone in front of you, the fact that you can see me, to hear me, and all that kind of stuff. But then you've also got things like, just to extent, the simple things in life. And I've talked about this story before, because my friend Jo Howarth has this great story about the cup of tea, and about how she was helping somebody once, and that person was saying, oh, I haven't really done anything today, I've got nothing to be grateful for, all I've really done is had a cup of tea. I think it said something about porridge as well, I'm not sure, but I just had a cup of tea. So, oh my God, but a cup of tea is such a thing to be, so many things to be grateful for just about that cup of tea. And you've got, because when you're making a cup of tea, what do? You take your kettle. Well, first of all, you've got a kettle, right? You bought that from a shop somewhere. With what money? Oh, you had some money to buy that from. Somebody's invented this kettle that's allowing you to boil water rather. And somebody's invented this thing that allows you to boil the kettle so that you can put the water in. Oh, you've got water. That's right. You got go to the tap. Oh, you turn the tap on, you've got water. Oh my God, hang on a minute. You've got fresh, clean, drinkable water straight from the tap without having to go to a well a couple of miles down the road. You've got to carry the water back. Anyway, you fill the kettle up and then you put it there and then you click the button and you walk away and you go and do something else and you come back and the water's magically boiled and it's popped and it's stopped. You don't have to put it onto a pan. You don't have to light the fire. You don't have to create a fire, for crying out loud, which is what you have to do in the past. And you don't have to sit on the pot. You don't have to sit there and watch the pot until it boils so that it doesn't overboil. Although obviously later on you got ones that whistled when it got boiling and stuff. Yeah, there's a possibility there. But you've got the kettle. It's just done that. You've got to boil water. We're already there. All we've done so far is boiled water. Oh, and don't forget, you've also got the electricity that created that kettle. And somebody has arranged for that electricity to be delivered to your house automatically. So you don't have to do that fire thing. Oh, and don't forget the water as well. That all clean, drinkable water has come from pipes that somebody has built and created and brought to your house. And they cleaned the water as well. So somebody's actually created a water filtration plant somewhere that's filtered that water and made it clean and easy for you to drink. I mean, there are lots of places in the world where you can't drink the water out of the tap because it's not clean. It's not safe to drink. Oh my God, there's so many grateful things there, just there. And then you've got the kettle, not the kettle. What's this? The tea bag. The tea bag. You've got a tea bag. You take the tea bag out of the cupboard. But where's that tea bag come from? Somebody's designed it so that those leaves that have come all the way from probably India or Kenya or somewhere like that, and some nice person has picked them off the leaves, they've dried them, and they've crushed them, and then they've put them into these little tea bag things, and they've shipped them all the way to England, and somebody's delivered those to the supermarket. You've gone to the supermarket, you've bought those things with the money that you've got. And then you brought this box of tea bags back with you. It's like, this is crazy. Oh, and don't forget, you've got those in a cupboard, haven't you? Oh, but that's where the mug is as well. You've got to go and get the mug as well. Don't forget, oh, somebody's already made the mug for you as well. You haven't had to make that mug yourself. You know, that's a mug that you've chosen with your own money, with your own thoughts. And you said, oh, this is a lovely mug that I've got. My friend's got a lovely mug that I bought for her. I used it myself when I went to Hungary. They didn't have kettles, so this is a very pertinent story for that situation. They didn't have kettles, so I had to go and buy a kettle from the shop and a mug, and some tea bags, and some milk, and bring. Oh, milk! There you go. There's another thing. And somebody's gone and milked some cows and put it into a jug and brought it back. And if you don't like cows, then that's fine. Somebody squashed some oats together and created some oat milk and put it in a thing, and you've gone and bought that from the shop as well. So anyway, so I bought this stuff, brought it back to the thing, made my cup of tea in my hotel room with a kettle that I had to buy from Tesco around the corner. Luckily, there was a Tesco's in Hungary. I had to use my phone that I'm using here to translate what a kettle was into Hungarian, because I was at a local Tesco's in the middle of nowhere, and they didn't understand English, so I had to use my Google Translator to ask them what a kettle was and ask them what a mug was, and all that. I mean, where can I buy mugs from, for example? So that was all just crazy, just to make a cup of tea, make a lovely cup of tea. That's all I wanted to do, was make a lovely cup of tea. Yes, so there you go. How grateful am I to be able to make a cup of tea that easily in my own home without having to go out and buy a kettle, and to be able to make a cup of tea. Try making it in the microwave, doesn't really work, etc., etc. Anyway, so there you go. You've got a cup of tea, you bought the boiled water, you put the milk in it, oat milk if you like, that's fine. And now you've got a nice cup of tea. So that's all the things that you can be grateful for just about making a simple cup of tea, that you can be so ungrateful for because you're not paying attention to it. And then you go to somewhere like Hungary and you go, well, how am I supposed to make a cup of tea? There's no tea bags here. How do I do this? Oh no, God, I've got any mugs in my room. How am I supposed to make a cup of tea without a mug and without a cup of tea? Ridiculous. Anyway, so there's a little story about making a cup of tea, and being grateful for everything in your life, because there's always hundreds of things. I was going to say millions of things. That might be a bit of an exaggeration. Hundreds of things in your life to be grateful for at any one time of your life. And the more you focus on the things that to be grateful for in your life, the happier you're going to be, because it just really helps. It helps you see the good rather than focusing on all the bad stuff. And that's the problem, is when we're struggling with depression, we're always focusing on the negative stuff. Oh, that's not going to work. That hasn't worked out for me. That person has said that nasty thing to me. That person has left me. You know, that person doesn't want to be with me anymore. I mean, Chance was a classic example for me in Spain. I met her. I was on that path thinking about walking in front of the truck, and then 2 hours later I met Chance, the happiest time of my life, like 2 hours later. And then we walked for 10 days together and got to know each other and basically fell in love. And then she went back to America to sort things out with her ex-boyfriend, and basically her ex-boyfriend had spotted on social media the relationship that we'd had, and he said, I don't want to lose this girl, I'm going to make an effort to get her back. And of course, when she went back to America, he'd made all the changes that she wanted. He'd become a different person, and they ended up getting married like 20 days later, and they have been happily married ever since. Still connected with him on Facebook, and he sent me a message to say thank you to me for helping him to open his eyes to see what he was about to lose out of his life. If he didn't do something, he was going to lose her to me. He's not wrong. I was hoping she would go over there, break up with him and come back, and we'd get married and be happily ever after ourselves, me and Chance. But it didn't happen, obviously. But they are still happy, married, and I'm very happy for them, although obviously heartbroken for myself. And I spent months afterwards just absolutely miserable and crying my eyes out and heartbroken and miserable and terrible. And then my friend Roz pulled me out of it, made me feel good, made me feel like life was worth living again. Yeah, I got my life back on track again. That was the end of 2016. That was 10 years ago. And here we are, 10 years later. I'm telling that story yet again. I hope that was a good story and a good cycle of how to find things that you can be grateful for in your life, and why it's so powerful to find things that are grateful in your life, and how you can switch yourself from a negative mindset about something that's happened in your past, go through that grief cycle, and then come out the other side and feel good again, having accepted the fact, ultimately acceptance being the last step of grief, that the old version of your life is no longer in existence. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say. I knew there was something else earlier on about that grief cycle that I was going to say. So there you go. That extra thing I was going to say was that a lot of the time, most people don't want to change their life, change the way they're thinking about it, and change from this old life into this new life. Because the problem is that when you change from that old life, you are basically killing your old life. You are dying. The old version of you is going to become dead. And nobody wants to die, really. So, but you have to kill that old life of yours to be able to rebirth yourself into this new life. And that old life of yours is gone. It's already dead. You just have to accept the fact that it's gone and it's no longer going to be a thing. And you have to create this new life. But a lot of people don't want to change into this new life. They want to hold on to this old life because this old life is what they've known, and they don't want to kill. Basically, they don't want to kill themselves. And why would you, really? I mean, there's no sense in it, because this whole future, this impossible, amazing future that you might have, won't have happened if you kill yourself. But you're not actually killing yourself. You're just killing the old version of yourself. You're killing this version of your life, which no longer exists. It doesn't exist anyway. So why not just let it go and move forward into the future and create this new version of yourself going forward? So that's a grief cycle in its own right that you've got to go through. To what's the grief cycle again? Let me just work through this. So denying that you can move forward, denying that there's a possibility of a new future, and then getting angry with people around you to say, no, I can't change. This is life. My life is like this. It can't possibly be any different than this. Don't try and push me into this new thing. And then you go through this depression. It's like, oh my gosh, maybe my life is dead. Maybe my old life can't come back. And I wish it would I wish I could get this old life back. I wish I could get this person back. I wish they'd come back into my life. That kind of stuff. That depression. Ugh. And then, I've transitioned into bargaining already there. It's like, what can I do to make my old life come back to me? How can I get my old life back? That's your bargaining part. I want to make some changes to get my old life back. And then you realize eventually that that's not possible. You can't have your old life back. It just doesn't exist anymore. That version of life just doesn't exist anymore. And that's when you can move into acceptance. And that's when you can just say, okay, right, can't do that past anymore. Now let's try and create my new future. You've got to go through that process, and it's a painful process. Sometimes it can take a long time, but you've got to go through that process until you can get to acceptance. And once you can get into acceptance, that's when you can start saying, do you know what? Let's make this new life. Let's create this new life for myself. That's and that's how you do it. That's how it works. It's a very well accepted process. And I've just noticed here that there's a really sort of longer version of that stages of grief thing. I'm just checking it. Okay. So I'll go through this. This is the last thing, and this is where I'm going to finish. It's got a big smile on it as well, which is quite interesting. Loss and hurt, shock, then numbness, then denial, emotional outbursts, anger, then fear of the future, searchings. Not sure what that means exactly. Disorganization, your life falling apart, panic, guilt about what did I do wrong. Loneliness, feeling like you're never going to be able to be, nobody else feels like you do, and your life is going to be like this forever. Isolation, not allowing other people into your life. Then the depression, yes. The re-entry troubles, this is when you start, it's like you're struggling to get re-entry. And then building new relationships, so relationships with new people. And then getting new strengths, So this is when you're going on the upslope now. You're now starting to get new strengths going on, and then new patterns, that new belief system going on there. And then you start to get hope about the future, and then you start getting these affirmations. That's all good. There you go. And then you start to help other people. So that's a really important part as well, helping other people, because that will make you start feeling like you're useful and worthy and worthwhile as soon as you start helping other people. Here's me doing that right now for you. And then you have this adjustment to the loss, and then your new life can start again. So that's what that stages of grief, the long version of the stages of grief is all about. So and we've all got to go through that process. If we've had anything lost in our lives and we want to create something new, want to create a new life, well, often we don't want to create a new life. We feel like there is almost like we have to be dragged into this new life rather than choosing the new life that we want to move into. Anyway, okay, that's it. Feel like that was a little bit more morbid than I planned it to be, but very pertinent to a particular situation I'm trying to help somebody through at the moment. And of course, the fact that I am currently not at a funeral in Cheltenham, which is where I was supposed to be today. Yeah, sad that that person has gone. I'm very grateful for the fact that I'm still here. And it's sad also that I didn't get to see the people at the funeral as well, but I just didn't feel I had the energy to do that today. And actually, talking about helping others at that thing there, talking about this now here has helped me feel better. I was not I was down at all particularly, I just wasn't feeling particularly energetic, and now I feel really energetic. I feel alive, I feel good. I'm looking forward to posting this onto my YouTube channel. Yay. So this is day 3, or not day 3, step 3, pillar 3, gratitude of the 15 pillars of happiness. So next week is nature or quiet mind. Not quite sure which one's the next one, the right. Let's do nature. Getting out into nature next week. Not least because it's the most obvious one, from gratitude and then straight down to nature. I think I was going to change that on the next one, but whatever. It's all good. It's all good. Right. That's all from me today. I'm going to send you love. Remember we did breathing exercises last week? That's also useful. Remember the breathing. Hold it. Allow those things to just blow out the carbon dioxide. There you go. Very simple version of that. Birthday breathing, 5 in through your nose. Hand on your heart. Light the candles on your birthday cake while you're holding your breath, and then blow out the candles on the cake. Happy birthday to you. Send some love to somebody in your life. Sending the love to somebody in your life. I'm sending love to all of you watching me right here, right now. Take care of yourself. Any comments, leave them in the chat, and I'll deal with them as and when. Take care of yourselves. Love you all. Bye for now. Take care. Have a lovely week, and I'll see you midday Monday next Monday for getting out into nature. Adios, boys and girls.